bring in for further comment the historian Luke Blaxill, who is expert in modern British constitution and monarchy at Oxford University. Luke, I know you've been waiting to speak to us. I know you've been watching and absorbing these remarkable images that are going round the world, showing how Britain is saying goodbye to Queen Elizabeth. But the whole world also, Luke, I think, saying goodbye to Queen Elizabeth too. It's very clear from the number of people from around the world, extremely important people from around the world, who've altered their timetable to be here because they feel it's the necessary thing to do. How do you think this moment ranks in terms of the history of the United Kingdom? Could you put a kind of context on that for us?
Yes, I think so. I think that it's a very important historical moment. Really, it brings, I think, the latter portion of the 20th century to a close. Certainly, the 20th century has been a time when Britain's power in the world, in many ways, has reduced from being an empire in which the sun never set in the 19th century to its gradual diminution of power in the 20th. But it played, obviously, a vital role in the Second World War and continued to play important roles after that time. And Queen Elizabeth, who is so associated in the public mind and the eyes of the world with post-war Britain, is, I think, one of the reasons so many people are tuning in throughout the world to say their final goodbyes to her. Of course, they respected her very greatly as a person and her dedication to duty, but it's also because she symbolizes something much larger, which is time. And history is very large and people are very small. And Elizabeth is perhaps, in her reign, was perhaps the longest. She's presided over such a long period of time, met so many generations of world leaders, and has been a constant witness and a constant stabilizing influence, both in Britain and throughout the world as well. And that's one of the reasons why this event in televised form perhaps might be the largest in terms of viewership that maybe has ever been seen in the history of the world.
To pick up on what you were saying there, Luke, about the idea of size and the scale of just one person, clearly someone who is bigger than one person could ever be. There are some, Luke, who say that it's because of Queen Elizabeth that the monarchy, the royal family, has been held together. Times when perhaps public opinion was going against them, it was the Queen's steadfastness, her constancy, who she was, her sense of duty, that kept it all together. Would you agree?
Yes, I think so. I mean, since Britain has become a constitutional monarchy, since the Glorious Revolution in 1688, the monarchy has never been able to take its position for granted. There has always been a Republican movement in Britain, and there have been moments, for example, under the reign of George III, where the king appeared to be getting too much power back, where there was a crisis. There was even criticism under Queen Victoria in the late 19th century. But in the 20th century, and in particular the late 20th century, where the democratic elements within the British Constitution have become so much stronger, where countries throughout the world have often removed the head of state or very much backgrounded them, monarchs, that having Queen Elizabeth here in Britain has, I think, helped the monarchy retain the loyalty of its subjects. Queen Elizabeth was also very astute, of course, politically. She was very aware of public opinion about the monarchy. There were moments where, of course, that did dip, the 1960s, the 1970s, and then, of course, after the tragic death of Princess Diana. And so there were things that she masterminded, the public opening of Buckingham Palace, for example, some television documentaries such as The Royal Family, which were designed to give the royals a more accessible kind of side. They were all designed very much to involve the public in the face of royalty and to make, just as this ceremony we're seeing now, while it is a state occasion, it is also an occasion that's very much about the people as well. And that was one of the things that Elizabeth was an absolute master of, was bringing the people in the ceremony, in the tradition. And that, I think, has helped the monarchy survive in the democratic era.